All right. So, oh shoot. I forgot to get my drinks. Water. Shoot. Back, chat. Hang on, chat. I'm coming. I'm coming. I forgot my drinks. Seriously. If y'all are wondering what's with the silly why my lights are off in my house, well, I'm having possible air conditioner issues again. Yay, I'm dealing with adult issues early in the morning. Fun stuff. Very fun stuff. Can I just like have a plate of normal for once? All right. All righty then. And close. How are we today, chat? 07, everyone. We're gonna start with SCL Live. See how I'm feeling because, golly, it's hot in here, and oh my god, we are trying very hard to find out. Hope and pray we don't have to get another air conditioner thing going on out here because, man, this will be the second time in 3 months we've had air conditioner troubles. Last time this happened was in June. So fun. Wow, it was short today. Okay, here we go.
Hi, everybody.
First things first, as I said, SCL Live. Greetings. I'm fine. Got plenty of Oh, you were just watching Paul play Space Marine, huh?
Welcome to Star Citizen Live. Star Citizen Live. Did you know that I have 2 different shows? One is called Inside Star Citizen, sometimes abbreviated as ISC, and it is pre-recorded and goes on Thursdays. Other times I have Star Citizen Live, abbreviated as SCL, and it goes on Fridays. ISC is where we pre-record and we interview a whole bunch of people and we cut them together and we make them sound professional sometimes and put a bunch of gorgeous B-roll and stuff like that, and you put that out and it's about the development of the game. And then SCL is where we sit here and I don't know, every single week I seem to forget what I'm doing every single. They're 2 different shows, despite sometimes me forgetting which one I'm doing at the very beginning, and a host of Spectrum and Reddit comments that continuously invert them, and it drives me crazy. Joining us on the show this week, a special treat, a short abbreviated show, won't be as long as normal. I know I said that a couple weeks ago. This is real. This is super important.
Want longer.
Is Chief Technology Officer of CIG, Benoit.
Oh, you're not going to try the last name, aren't you?
No, Beausejour. No. I stumbled on your first name. It's just
okay.
Like we used to do this thing, like it used to be the oldest trope of SEO. We'd get somebody on the hot seat and they'd forget their own name. I don't think I've ever forgotten my own name.
What is it that I do here again?
What is it that you do here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can someone tell me?
Sure. So I'm
Take
the
up
Chief
money?
Technology Officer for CIG. So I'm basically representing all the engineers at Turbulent, yes, but also at CIG at this point. So everybody that's even closely remotely doing engineering, I basically care for, make sure they have what they need to succeed, orient the work, get the amazing task of calling priorities, and basically helping people make sure that they win at their jobs and that they deliver on what the game needs.
So
that's my job.
That just sounds like everything is your fault.
Yes. In a way, it's my fault. Sure. There's always a way up to my fault.
All right. So Benoit has agreed to be on the show this week again for an abbreviated show, so we can. We're in an interesting point in our development, technology-wise. Server meshing is on the horizon. We attempted to get a huge tech preview going last night, but there were some network issues, as I understand it.
Snafu.
324.
Just say snafu.
So it's an interesting moment in our technology history, so we thought we'd bring him on and answer your questions. So as normal, we put a thread up on Spectrum. We asked you to submit your questions to Benoit. Most of them were about things like, where's my spaceship? Or
just say snafu.
What can you tell me about this feature and whatnot? That's not specifically what we're here to talk about Benoit with. Talk about Benoit. Jeez.
I don't know.
Did you know that I'm not sleeping well? So we collected your questions. We went through and we chose the ones that are appropriate, and we're going to go through them now. So the first question I have, Benoit, is simply we recently released Alpha 324. How'd that go?
Well, it's an interesting patch. Let's just say that.
Interesting, he said.
24 has a lot of new uses to some very large systems, right? And so
some foundational systems.
Foundational systems, yes. Systems that have been in the game for a long, long time.
Getting their first update.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's been a bit of a rocky release, simply because there are some issues that happens when more players are present that affect core flow of the game, right? So anything that affects you retrieving a ship or leaving the hangar or things like that are instantly high priority. Some of them work well, on internal builds, and then when we get real players on it, there's always something new. In this case, for 24, there's a lot of issues that happen related to cargo elevators, freight elevators, the new hangars, and NetFlow. And so we've been hotfixing.
By the
quite a
way,
bit,
how are we over
figuring
on
out what was
Rumble
going
today,
on. Some missions
folks?
didn't work for
Doing
the
well,
CCR
I
region, and
hope.
so we've been kind of analyzing
You won't,
data and hotfixing.
you
a lot
won't
of
even say the name ATC.
well, yeah. So let's just say that there, like I said, there are some systems in the game that are complicated, right? That date back to a very long time.
It's all right. It's all right,
And
Benoit.
ATC is at the core of it, right? It's one of
Sorry.
them.
Show me on the doll where ATC touched you.
I need to
I'll
I
do
need to
that.
throw him through the
But,
wall now, chat.
And so yeah, ATC transit, our
Can
systems.
I throw
that,
him through the wall? Yes.
Any issues with these systems
Yes.
are debilitating instantly, and so it's not a case of if it works 60% of the time, it works every time. It's a case of if it doesn't work 1% of the time, then it's very high priority to find a fix. So we've hotfixed a lot of stuff in the last couple of days. There's more coming from the gameplay teams, obviously. Some changes to how we deal with obstructions in the hangars are coming as well, which is has been one of the most problematic issues. Like the checks on that side were a lot too, I like to say, hardcore, which would cause a lot of side effects. It caused
Right.
some hangars to break. So we're in the process now of changing all of that stuff to release
No problem.
release a little bit the hold that the ATC has over cleanup, and how it prevents some stowing. So there's already a bunch of hotfixes that went live for that. So hopefully that will alleviate a lot of the issues people have been running into with hangars specifically. But otherwise, like 24 is a super interesting patch for a lot of
Maybe because
reasons.
it's buggy as
Also
hell.
because we've introduced some new metrics to Star Engine that have launched in 24, and so we have now a lot more information about the state of the game servers and how they perform. So we've instrumented a lot of things in the engine. And to be clear, we've had metrics before. This is more about long-term metrics that we track over a long period of time. So that allows us to really correlate important events, right? Like
Right.
an area streaming in causing problems, certain game components costing us, frame time in certain areas. And so I like to say that these new metrics are like if optimizing the game is like a large cornfield, the tools that we used to have to do this were very optimized, very great microscopes, right? But now with these new metrics, we have a radar that tells us exactly where to look for and drill down. And so I'm hopeful that with 24, we already got a couple of reveals. Just seeing the live release roll out with these metrics, and so I'm hopeful that's going to bring forward a lot more improvements as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm excited about it.
It's one of those things where it's hard to see it now, but so much of what we're building towards with the way that freight elevators play into pyro and stuff that you're going to see at CitizenCon later this year, next month, 6 weeks, are all based on stuff that's in 324. It's I understand it's rough now and stuff, but it is a foundational patch that will be built upon and will bear fruit in future releases. All things.
Yeah,
what we hope.
yeah. One of the things that maybe I don't know if I don't know if we've communicated this way. I mean, Chad probably did outline this in one of the Inside Star Citizen, but is that the tech behind the way the hangars function is actually and it's an instance interior, right? Which this is the first use we have of the instance interior system, but you can imagine what we'll be able to do with that technology moving forward. I know that some of you guys have encountered ghost sounds when you go in your hangar, like you can hear other stuff from other. That's because in reality, the hangars are superposed on top of each other and instanced in place. And so when you go to your hangar, there's some, I'll just qualify it as black magic rendering culling that happens, that you're basically in your hangar. That's what you see, right? Now there's a bug with audio. That's why you've heard some audio from the other interiors, but the reality is all these hangars are actually on top of each other, which is when you start thinking about it, it's a bit
Kind of
weird. And then
figure
when you
that's
request your
what's
ATC
going on
gateway,
there.
that's when your actual instance is moved into place, so you can exit and enter. And so that tech will be able to use that with throughout the universe, for a lot more things for instancing interiors, which is super key for a lot of the gameplay we're trying to do.
All right, so we are 10 minutes or 1/3 through our scheduled program, and we got one question down. So I'm going to skip. You tell me when we get to the 30-minute if you can stay later or whatnot. But I'm gonna skip to some of the more pertinent questions here to make sure we get them in. Server meshing. So obviously we had a series of tech previews earlier this year. We were supposed to start one up last night UK time. We're hopeful to start one up again today. A lot of folks are. I'm gonna combine 3 questions here and get a broad thing here. What are we testing for now? Why has the gap been so long between tech preview tests for this? And is this really working as well as we hope?
Yeah. So the gap, I'll start with the gap, right? So later in the spring, end of spring, we did a couple of good tests that gave us a lot of good data, right? So what we've been trying to do on the meshing side is be a bit more pragmatic and methodical in how we approach the development. And so these tests really gave us a lot of data, right? Because of the way we conducted them, we were able to try different mesh configurations, look at performance, specifically on the hybrid, which is the replication layer service, and to really be able to hone in on what we need to improve in order to get the scale that we want. And so what came out of these tests in the spring was that there was already things that were touching on the performance of the hybrid and the game server communications that needed improvement. And so this is what we call the components called the NMQ, the network message queue. Now that's there's a lot of chatter online about, there's a replacement thing and it's called, is it Rabbit MQ, whatever. No, so we're not even in that realm. We're talking about really the networking component that transmits data between game server and client, game server and hybrid and game servers. It's like this, think of it as the communication library underneath it. So like all games, that technology is using UDP transport to get eventually consistent updates out as fast as possible. Now the network message queue had a couple of issues when it got a lot of data in a very short period of time. So these spikes would cause
Where's September?
and that's what we saw in the final server meshing tech previews, was that when large areas would stream in and a lot of players would join in and leave at the same time, the network message queue could go into a tailspin where, think of it as a drain, right? And you're trying to push stuff in the drain, and at some point, if you exceed the bandwidth of the
Hey,
drain,
Destroy.
then water starts filling up. Now, the way that
How far
manifests
did they
itself in the game
get,
is
Destroy?
interaction delays.
How far?
So pressing F, trying to get in the ship, and it takes seconds before the system.
How many
reacts.
people
Power
got
connection
in?
Takes forever. Now I'm not talking
You
about
tell.
one-offs, because you can have interaction delay in your game based on your connection. That can absolutely happen. So it's influenced by your machine, your connection. So if you're playing on a 486 without the turbo button on a satellite connection, you might get interaction delay, right? But in this case, we're talking about widespread, like when an entire shard gets into that state, right? So that's what we saw in the tech preview, and so that we had to go a little bit back on the drawing board and actually fast track.
Yeah, I
one
bet
of
they
the
were,
refactors we wanted
dude.
to do, which
Because
is
they
the
want to be
introduction
part
of
of
the
history.
replacement message queue.
You know?
Now we call it replication message queue, replacement message queue, kind of. We've basically called it RMQ, and so this RMQ is a new implementation of this that has more abilities to adapt to higher bandwidth and react to these large message pushes that happen when we start streaming large areas or when a lot
Oh,
of players come in the game
man.
rapidly. And so
That's
what we're
not
testing
good.
now is RMQ in a server mesh setting. So for you guys who don't know, 324, half of the servers on live currently run RMQ. The other ones are running NMQ still. We've been gathering data across both of them to see the performance improvements, the gains. So far, those have been really good. A lot of really good improvements. And so now we want to test this in a server mesh setting. So what changes in a server mesh setting is that now the hybrid is going to manage more than one game server that simulate these key areas. And so there's more traffic going through the hybrid for this at key moments. And so that's what we want to test with this next set of tech previews. So what our hope is that the issues that plagued the 800 players last time, where there was a lot of interaction delays, right? Also, some of those tests had a lot of game server crashes at the time that we did the test. But in this case, we're hopeful that all these interactions delays will be, basically gone from this bandwidth side of it. So that means we can get to bigger shards, and the experience is going to be enjoyable across that. The thing that actually did work really well in our spring test was the actual server meshing tech itself. So authority transfer, management of territories, all that stuff was fantastic, a really big success. But we did need to take a little bit of a sideways step to optimize the RMQ, which is now done, and also getting mission tested
Good.
right now by you guys on 324.
So that'll be new information to people who, at this moment here, that one half of the 324 servers are running on NMQ.
No
and
worries.
One half are running on RMQ. Has
No
there
worries,
been a
Luna.
noticeable performance difference?
Yes. Overall, like so we track some of these
Remind me what I was
interaction
right
delays.
about. I have
You'll see this is a
terrible
common
memory.
theme that I've been pushing quite a bit, is that we need to measure a bit more of these things. And so on the long interaction,
Do we have a disagreement, Luna?
we've been looking a lot at the amount of events, duration of these events, which players get them, and so we're able to see a noticeable
Oh, the
improvement on that side. There are
definition.
still,
The
you know,
definition.
some
Right.
interaction lag
They
happening,
changed
but,
it, right?
they're not systemic
Right,
anymore.
if I remember
It's those
straight.
other causes that you
Correct.
mentioned. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So
And so that's cool. The thing that's also nice about this is that we have the ability, you probably noticed, especially with 24, that we have a new set of ways to deploy and canary technology on live to mission test it. So not only are we doing tech previews when it's necessary, but we also are throwing tests. So sometimes you might end up on a server that's running
Man,
something new
I
and you
am
don't even know about it,
sleepy.
but we know about it because we're looking at all these metrics to make sure that the new tech works as expected. And if it doesn't, backtrack and stop the canary, things like that. So we've been doing a lot of that in the last, for the entire 24 cycle, really.
I want to ask a follow-up question. I feel like I have to here. If there are people that are just, we all know that every version of Star Citizen is a test bed. Even the full live alpha that's what alpha means. It's a test bed.
Sure.
Evocati, PTU, live, tech preview, whatever you call it, they're all some level of test bed.
Yeah.
There are people that are just trying to log in and play right now, and some of those people are going. It sounds like some of those people are going to 324 with RMQ and having a better experience than some of those people are logging in and through no fault of their own are going to NMQ servers and having a degraded. Do we have a timetable for when we just switch all of them over to RMQ so we stop?
Now the interesting
using
thing
for guinea
is
pigs?
that currently for the servers running NMQ, we're not seeing heightened interaction delays, right? I guess just comparatively between them. We do want to keep going at it, so we're being prudent, right? So we started with a couple of shards, then we moved on to a quarter, then to a half, right? And so as this is more stable, it's very possible that within the release of the next couple patches, all servers will be running RMQ. I mean, at this point,
Good.
there's not much stopping that from happening. It's just prudence to make sure that there's no new issues that would come on.
Yeah,
It's like
because
if you
new
replace the
issues
netcode for
are.
an entire game, right? Like the
Probably
YT
a
side
dime a
effects, you know,
dozen.
and then the typical
Exactly. Okay.
invisible player, new crash on whatever, bad handling of slow connections,
It's responsible
is
not to just switch everybody over at one time.
exactly.
Okay.
So
I get you.
NNQ does work well. We know where it falls down and at what moment. We can also identify the shards that do run into this. There was a bit in 23 of an accumulation in certain areas that we noticed shards that were a lot older had this accumulated data, and it's not persistence data necessarily, but it's based on the state of the world where it would transmit more data, and that would cause some more a heightened state of interaction delay, and so that really clued us in a bit more that our plan to do the RMQ was the right one.
Okay. 2/3 of the
But
way.
our goal is to roll it out to everybody as soon as we can.
Okay.
That's for sure.
All right. So again, I'm going to the big ticket ones because now we're 2/3 of the way through. Desync.
Yeah.
What the?
Well, completely related. I mean, not completely related. That's not true. That's not fair. So, the network transmission layer, right? Game server, game client does interpolation, right? So as your ships or your actions move, your actor, so your character, and your ship, when you're actually piloting a ship, the client does interpolation about your movements. So it's trying to predict what the server will say. And then the server comes in and says, yep, that's what it is. And that comes from the network queue, right? So obviously when we have congestion on the network, it's going to cause some of this. But it's also server FPS, of course, has a very large effect on this, right? And so desyncs are a combination of factors, right? That when you see a desync, it's could be because the server is simulating a piece and he's back in time a little bit, so he's skipping time steps. Well, he's not skipping time steps. It's not the right way to do it. I'm trying to make it simple so we don't go too deep into the weeds. But think about it this way: if the server's not running a very decent
Okay,
frame rate,
Luna, I
when
gotcha.
those frame rates dip,
Yeah.
the effect will be some kind of level of desync.
It's
for
some
certain
type
kinds
of powered armor.
of
Paul
items.
got it.
So
I think Paul
with
hit the nail
RMQ,
on the head.
we're
Yeah.
hitting on something stuff that's
Exactly.
related to the network transmission. That will help definitely. And with the new
I think
metrics
you're right.
24, that helps us to really hone in on what is the cause of the cost over time on frame time. Where is our frame weight? What resources are being used? What resources are being
Squirrel Lord.
allocated? So the thing that might not be clear when you look at the game, but so the Star Engine is really good at streaming stuff in dynamically and streaming it out dynamically. That's the key feature of the engine. But that also has a certain level of cost. So depending on what players are doing in the game, the servers might be doing just fine, right? Certain areas are just super easy, but then other areas stream in and then they become problematic. And so that's what we're looking at with those metrics, is to see what areas and what entities in those areas are costing us the most, so that we can optimize the things that really affect those desyncs in that gameplay, literally. So right now, the improvements we're getting there is several engine fixes, or optimizations, I should say. And then the network queue replacement is going to help on these things quite a bit.
Okay. So, like we've said a couple of times, this has been the truth for as long as I've been here, for 10 years, as far as measuring whites. A bug doesn't always have just one cause. Sometimes the manifested effect can actually be caused by several things, and that's what makes bug smashing so hard. Is you end up finding this cause, and then it still happens. This also causes it, and then then it happens half the time, and then you find something else says, this also causes it. The same goes for desync performance and stuff like this. Sometimes it's this that causes it, sometimes it's that.
Sometimes it's like, I can speak to one bug. I know you guys like bug smashing, but for example, at the launch of 24, we start getting reports that the original intro cargo missions were no longer functional. And so at first, shock, like, what's going on? It's not like we haven't tested this flow at all. We've been running on PTU for a while, plus internal testing. So what's going on? So we start looking into it. And so, long story short, obviously you need to discover things one by one, but long story short, a lot of players on live compared to PTU will abandon missions, go offline during missions, cancel missions. And so the cancellation flow of the missions would leave the cargo boxes in these inventories that we use for the missions that are shared. And so these would
I
accumulate
used to be really good at
all
remembering
these
things.
cancellations, and it weren't being properly destroyed. And so at some point, these inventories reached a point I think it was per location if I remember right, but
Right.
that there's so much standby cargo boxes waiting there that your box is further down the data set. So that code didn't.
I'm just
assume
glad
that we'd have that
somebody
much in
remembers,
those
Luna.
inventories. It was never meant to have
Just
that many
glad
items.
somebody
We're talking about hundreds
remembers.
of thousands of boxes. And so at that point, you would not find your boxes and so you couldn't start your mission because those boxes were way further down. And this was completely based on accumulation of cancellations of players abandoning missions when they're on them or things like
That's a
that.
fantastic example of something that doesn't happen in PTU that does happen in live, because in PTU everybody's focus is on testing the mission. So everybody accepts a mission, and the majority of people play through the mission because they're trying to complete it because that's the test.
Correct.
And then you get to live and you get a completely different behavior. So it's one of the reasons it's when people ask often, why did you push it to live and stuff like that? It's because many times, this is just one example, that's the only way we find the outliers, the big ticket things.
And I mean, shipping patches too is complicating the development in general. So like I call it the cost of shipping, but developing right, is good. But when you go to when we give you guys a patch to test and we give you guys a patch to play, that's where a lot of new issues are discovered for the size of games that we have. Even PTU, like you mentioned, like people recopy, they have a behavior that's, it's not their normal behavior. It doesn't go through progression. They're not cutting in the middle of it. It's a lot different. And so shipping these patches, the cost of shipping is enormous. But it is very rewarding in that we then harden, in the first couple of days, like I mentioned, in 24, like was just scramble we need to fix this immediately.
No
so
worries, Destroy.
The teams that
All
were
good,
pushing
man.
hard to get those hot fixes out, but
You're
that's
good.
basically I think shipping these patches like requires an
I'm also
enormous
having to
amount of
watch
energy,
my
right?
air
And
conditioner
it's absolutely
today.
worth it, but
It's
where
acting
pushing it over
wonky
the hump, at
again,
some point you need
chat.
to make a call, right? Because
Again.
the longer a patch stays in this limbo of like we're almost there, and are we going to discover something else at some point with the model that we have with our game being alpha? We have to move it over the hump, get those last issues sorted out, so we can continue development. Because internally, like it's like a bunch of freight trains, right? Like we got this stream of development, this release.
Be right back.
The rest of the developments.
I'm gonna let this run. I'm gonna be back.
We do have to move forward.
Last question about performance and stuff. We talked desync performance, like the different causes. Server frame rates are one of the obvious things that players can often see. They can turn on the.
We also share that information.
Yeah.
Like we report it to clients so you can see it with our display info.
Yeah. So one of the biggest offenders of server frame rate is also the reason why in 324, when you put something on when you put your gun on your table or something on the table, it starts bouncing and flopping around and driving everybody crazy. Physics.
Sure.
How do we get the server frame rate up? Is it just refining physics? Is it buying bigger servers or better servers and just increasing the cost of running the game to an unmanageable thing? Does server meshing distribute the load across it well, and then that'll get us higher frame rates? How do we get server frame rate up?
Well, so you're right. Like our game servers do perform a lot of physics calculations and a lot of physics simulation. That's the nature of the game, right? Thrusters, ship simulation. Like we track so many types of geometries in the physics engine. It's crazy. Like we have a really great physics framework in the engine. for sure, like the most immediate gain there is server meshing for sure. Like we've seen in our playtest significant frame rate increase across the board for areas because you have less physical entities, right? In general, so
Sorry,
that means
I'm
less
back.
geometry, less allocations, less simulation. Think of the server frame rate as a bunch of phases, right? And the engine is extremely well multi-threaded, meaning that we can do a lot of things in parallel. But the challenge there is always determining what we can do in parallel that doesn't have impact with other things. So what can we actually simulate that doesn't depend on anything else? And so that's true of entities. So when we do an entity pass or what we call an ECUS update, so that's every frame. And it's true of physics. So and it's true of networking. So all these
Can't
phases
spell today.
at some point need to wait at the end of a frame for everybody to be completed before it moves on. And so obviously this is all bound on entity count and also physical entity count. So server meshing is from the top is going to reduce that count by a lot because you have way less areas to simulate. So less entities to simulate means that the overall wait time across the frame will be better. And so that's the first gain for sure, right? And then we can control that granularity as our meshing technology moves up. We can control the zones, the size of the zones that we want to simulate. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have an area that's filled with something.
Well,
and
that was
it's going to have a
annoying.
high, either network or engine cost or physics time cost.
Oh yeah, because
that can still happen for sure.
you know when we increase the player counts to 800, all 800 are going to go and cram themselves into the same 890 jump.
Of course. And so that's a bit why you're going to see some jitters, especially with cargo. We're putting a bit more on the gameplay side.
My
we're putting a
bit
bit
rate
more
just
of the
dropped to
physics, on the
zero.
spotlight because we're using
What?
it to move, with tractor beams, moving boxes, things like that. And so, of course, we're looking at improvements, but the first one, Metrics has actually already given us quite a bit of very interesting things to look at, and so I'm very hopeful. That
Frame rate's really low at the moment, chat, for some reason.
Allow us to find
Sorry.
even more optimizations there that we can do. There's always optimizations, guys, by the way. It's always a thing. But server meshing will definitely help quite a bit. We've seen that in the last test. Like, even with the very large shards, servers were running on average a much higher frame rate than our current game shards. So I'm really hopeful for those gains. Because that's going to be a game changer for the game. Like, obviously, performance for the game. If we gain, 1 millisecond on frame time, that's 1 millisecond directly to your gameplay, right? So for sure, like server.
Me too. Wasn't it supposed to be this afternoon, but they canceled it? Hey Jim, what's up, man?
All right, so
yeah, the new camera's a lot better than it was.
And when I mentioned physics, that's not me throwing the physics team under the bus. That's me, as Benoit said, recognizing how much physics simulation we do in our universe. Is there anything else we can do? Just optimize and distribute the load across multiple servers?
Correct. There's also obviously content optimization. So
my air conditioner's having issues.
Like you mentioned, there's always more than one cause, right?
I'm trying, Jim.
When we talk about optimization, because you
trying very hard.
Your question, which was, do we just get bigger servers? Right? There's a limit to that.
Yeah.
A limit that we've, I don't want to say we've reached it. We're not there yet, but there's still a server size that makes sense.
Been a while
in terms of.
Yeah, they were gonna have server tests last night and tonight,
when you do
but something happened, right, Luna? They were gonna have a 1,000 player cap server test. 1,000, Jim. 900. We're talking thousands of people, like WoW level number.
How you parallelize the work?
It was ridiculous. 800.
But then
they were saying 1,000, like Luna.
A good example is the
I thought.
First time we put cargo boxes.
Or were they going to shoot for 800 again?
A bit losing track, but the actual one SCU box was composed of like 30 some entities.
Notice that.
They look really good.
Oh, it was such a dumb box.
But when we looked at it,
Hang on.
Oh, it's such a dumb box.
30
Yes.
some. The actual one
I saw
SCU
something
box
on
was
Jared's
composed of,
desk.
like 30
Yes.
some entities, which was
Yes.
like it looked really good.
Oh, it's such a dumb box.
But
Hey, chat, what is this? What is this? Right here. Is this a ship? Oh, 800. Might have been a discrepancy. What in the world is this thing? Kind of looks like a constellation.
you know, when we looked at it with the scope, it's like, okay, yeah, no, we can't do that. And
Hey,
so
I'm fine
the
with
normal
800,
customization is
Luna.
passes this, right? We just
800
reduce the
is a
entity
lot of
counts,
people.
try to be smarter about, how we
A lot of
construct
people.
objects, object containers. Streaming is also one, how we streaming things. So the other area of battle on the server optimization front is once you have
Jim,
server
800
firmware, so you have
people
entities loaded,
on a server.
you're simulating
Towns
them
will
out,
feel
right?
freaking
So that's one
alive.
area to optimize. The next one
Tell
is
me I'm
putting
wrong.
stuff in and out of that simulation. So streaming data in, streaming data out. And so there's these phases that every entity and game component go through. And those are, these components are written by game developers and they do different things.
Right.
We have, I think,
I
over
rarely run
1,000
into
game
32
components, but not
SCU
all active, but
boxes.
registered, roughly 1,000 different game components. And so each one of those have 7 phases they go through in their life cycle. 2 of them are really important. They call it register and unregister. And so this is when a game component that's attached to an entity. So entities have components, and entities getting loaded. We need to run the phases on the components. So that those components, when they register, that's where they do. Oh, I'm a security component. I need to register with the
No, I
security system and
salvage.
let know of the AIs in the area, what's
Jim.
going on, and things like that.
Yeah. No,
Those
That
happen
being
when a
said-
spawn batch appears.
That being
And so then
said,
what people
I
refer to as
have
the spawn
had
queues
some
is
pretty
when the server
large
needs to spawn
cargo
things, right?
hauls
That is a queue
salvage-wise
that is
with the
basically
new
processing
cargo
these
decks.
phases, put the entities into the engine for simulation. And so that's
You know?
the other area of battle, is optimizing these phases so that the spawn is faster and is sharper.
Speaking of that, Jim brings up a good point. An asset that has long been languishing chat for a while. He brings up cargo hauling. Well, I'll raise you one better, Jim. Cargo decks. When is Cargo Decks version 2.0? I want to know. Because, okay. The current cargo decks, they're basically placeholders. So, with all this cargo stuff and upgrading stuff, there could be a use for those spaces. I mean, they're huge. I know. And salvage as well, Destroy. When you go to store your salvage and then sell, it's so much nicer. You're telling me, Jim, we do. We definitely do, man. I'm in agreement with that. That's exactly a good point. I agree with that. It'd be nice if boxes also had quad attachment points. Multiple attachment points. They're supposedly magnetic. I ran into a weird issue like that too, Jim. I ran into a thing at Crew L5 where I can't sell 2 SCU crates.
And despawning is the same, right? So you finish a mission, you leave away, we stream out, we need to get this out, right? And so that's the other area of optimization in battle that also has an effect on gameplay that we're really diving into with these new metrics.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought up the content optimization in addition to feature and service optimization. One of the recurring criticisms, sometimes valid and we deserve it and sometimes not, is how often we rework a thing. There's been 3 or 4 versions of the Freelancer, for instance, and there's a really good reason for that one. But and that's because we discover inefficiencies in the way it was built the first time, not because, sometimes because of fault, sometimes because there just wasn't a better way to make it then, and there is now, and stuff. So revisiting that, reworking that allows us to make it more efficient. The Freelancer famously, gosh, if old time backers will remember, I've told this story before, but if you've heard it, I'm sorry. There was the second version of the Freelancer had 200 rivets, little rivets that went around the panel lines, and the artist who built it for us, it was a third party client at that time because it was still early days.
Sure.
They copied the rivet from the concept model instead of, I don't want to spend time remaking a rivet, and then just copied and pasted a concept rivet over the entire ship 200 times. And so a single Freelancer now had a greater resource cost than the entire Idris in Squadron 42. And folks, for the old hangar module days, will remember, if you owned all 4 Freelancers and you loaded that up when they got remade, your hangar module was a slideshow.
That was it.
And stuff like that.
I remember
Yeah.
also there was a thing with the original Cutlass Black.
Yeah.
First Cutlass, that if it would be in your frustum view, that was it. Like that thing was like I don't know how many polygons it was. It was a crazy assembly originally. But yeah, content optimization is a big part of this, right? And it's also the hardest because the universe is very large, right? So when we talk about content optimization, I
Absolutely
use the
huge.
box as an example, but we're talking about harvestable asteroids, planes.
Yeah, and that
AI
was in the
characters,
early
your
days,
character,
Jim.
everything,
I didn't
right?
even
Is
know
put
that.
under the scope to go is
Thank
this
God
under
it's
the
not like that
budget?
now.
Is it,
Can you
draw
imagine?
calls? Because the client performance is also important, right? Like we're talking about server stuff now, but
I mean,
your
holy
client also needs to
cow.
render that stuff, right? And
No,
so,
thank you.
Content optimization is a super big part of this. That
We think
we
it's a
have to get a lot
slideshow
better at,
now. Just
for
imagine.
because our
Just
approach is
imagine,
always to make
chat.
things look great, and they do look great.
If that
right?
would be
But
like a slideshow on
then we
Overdrive.
schedule time to optimize it, but sometimes we have to because of the nature of our development, we have to put it in
Sheesh.
one patch and then optimize it in the next one, and so that does cause some frame drops at some points. But
we constantly make improvements to our level of detail system and stuff like that. We are over by 10 minutes, and I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm gonna keep you for 2 more questions.
All right.
And I'm gonna say this while you're live, so you can't say no without looking like a dick.
That's okay.
Okay. Obviously, Turbulent got their start with the project, building the platform, building the website.
Yeah.
I want to see how I want to phrase this. This isn't a question from the thing. This is my question. I've got you here now.
Just freeball it.
You're on the hot seat.
Go. Hey, come on. I'm ready.
One of the many annoying things that exist. One of the most annoying for me and for many people is that these items that they've pledged for, these smaller items that they get on the website that are rewarded from events, well, like that, they get lost, they fall through the cracks, they disappear into the unknown through no fault of people's own, and there's no way
Yeah,
to
not really.
recover that in the verse.
They were
We've been
talking about how
this
we
idea of pledge item recovery
we're
for
gonna have
while
a
now.
800 test,
It was
but it
actually
didn't
last
happen.
November, when we first.
I think they're gonna.
really
I
started.
think the
to talk about it. It did
Freelancer
not arrive in
is the
324
second
like
oldest
we and
ship.
a lot of folks
I
hoped.
could be wrong.
Kent, is there anything you can tell us?
Brian,
give us some hope?
Jim, I think it is the
Well,
second oldest ship,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
it'll come out tomorrow, please.
So the in terms of the item recovery in general, right? The there's been a lot of discussions in 24, which was, to be honest, very interesting for myself and the design team mostly to read. Was the different opinions about the item kiosk, right? And drawer, no drawer, access to inventory. I mean, this is still gonna go on, right? And now that we have the
Yeah, the
at least one of
Constellation
these
was
done
one of the
in
first.
system, but I'm not saying this is the final one at all. But that's one of the reasons for why the item kiosk exists also, right? Was to basically give you guys access to get your items back, right? And so I don't want to say when the feature is actually going to drop because I don't really know specifically when, but I can tell you that the adding all those kiosks in every location, getting them hooked up, this is, and getting the actual recovery part. We had to take it out of 24 because obviously 24 had to go at some point, right? And there was more pressing, development and issues to solve with that, so we had to make that decision. But the actual kiosks themselves are already in there. I mean, you see that in the verse now; they're usable, and so that means that feature is in the good place.
I'm just happy that the
Maybe
Turtle
added in
won
the patch.
second
Can't tell you
place this
which one,
year.
but I can tell you that that's
Was it
we talk
second?
about that stuff all the time. About when are we going to close the loop on this? When is it going to land? Right. In terms of the database work too on the back ends, that's already ready to go. So it's really about
I
when
think
can
they
we
meant
get,
in
side
theory,
work
Brian.
to get that in there. And I do agree. That's, for me, is also a bit that's a pet peeve of mine. Like being able to get your items back, especially when they're unique, is super key. So
Yeah, I mean, I use the term pledge item recovery, but it's really unique item recovery. It's the thing.
yeah, the ones that you only have one of and that are important. Now, that said, there are plans, for how this is going to work for Star Citizen, not just during the development, but as a whole, right? Because
New Cabbage
there's-
is where I
there's
am at the
more, and then
moment
we're gonna
too.
discuss about this, I think, at CitizenCon a little bit with some of the things we're going to be showing, but there is a larger plan on how purchased items are going to work and how that ties up to the gameplay of the universe. And so there's going to be more updates on that for sure.
But not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, unfortunately.
Last question is just sort of a personal one. We've been talking about a lot of tech stuff here today.
Yeah.
You and I go back 10 years now at this point. There was a time when I was one of the few people at CIG that interacted regularly day to day with the Turbulent folks. You've gone from founder and CTO of Turbulent. And the last time we had you on the show, we knew this transaction was happening, but we couldn't tell anybody yet. Which is why we talked a lot about the history of Turbulent in that show, by the way. Yeah. Now that it's happened, and now that it's gone through, it's still going through,
the Constellation's a good, reliable show.
The repercussions of it are still happening. How's that been? How's that been for you? Going from CTO of Turbulent to CTO of all of CIG,
Sure.
to going from a web development platform to a full game development thing.
I mean, ultimately it's software, right? So for me, it's I'm a bit of a natural.
Spoken like a true CEO, folks.
For sure.
You heard it here.
I'm gonna use general numbers here, like 100, 150, maybe engineers in general, to the amount that we have at CIG and the different teams. The thing that I find the most satisfying is that we have so many incredibly talented engineers.
Not to be rude, but man,
from our engine team, graphics, AI.
I have some words to say about that.
R&D.
You don't treat one like the other.
VFX.
It's different types of software, dude.
Our teams are so talented. It is crazy.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
it's really an honor to have the opportunity to try to make their lives better, right? Improve the internal processes that we have for our engineers, make sure they have career paths at CIG, that they're fulfilled, that they work on things that matter, right? So one of the big roles of a CTO is to make sure that we're working on the right things, right? That we're not, just developing and then hoping for a result, that we're actually driving for the results that we want, making the right calls across that. So for me, it's been very, very fulfilling. Also very difficult because like the context switch is crazy, right? Going from all these subjects, right? But very, very fulfilling. And I'm so proud of the team that we have. Our engineering teams at CIG are best in class, right? They're really making miracles with smallish team, like in terms of the pure engineering teams, like
Yeah, that's
making
what
an
I'm.
engine, building the tech that we need for this game. I mean,
Yeah, I
the level
caught
of talent
that
is
too,
incredible.
Jim,
So
and I'm like,
it's been roughly almost a year now that that I've picked up this role, and it's been only positive. It's also been really positive, I think, for the Turbinate family in general to join in the
yeah.
CIG family overall. It's made communications easier. It's made our missions easier to communicate.
Servers were
It allows also the
Jim.
cross-culture
Servers
pollination,
were
things
getting
that
really
Turbinate
bad
do
toward
well,
the end
things
of
that CIG do well,
323.
try to get the best out of it, try to influence each other out of it into
I'll
one
admit it
big
openly.
family. So it's been
The
a really
servers
good
were
ride so
getting
far.
toward
I'm really,
trash
really enjoying it.
levels.
It's really, really cool. Plus, I love
Again.
this project. Like, there's nothing more that I want than for this, for all of our tech to come together and then to really make this game the best thing that it can be by them. So it's for me, it's like I'm just ecstatic about it.
It's been nothing but positive. It's such a bullshit executive answer.
No, hang on. Don't say that.
I love Jared. Thank you.
What's been difficult
Jared,
is, if you want the downside,
you
is
are
really,
wonderful and a
catching up to
treasure.
speed to all the disciplines, right?
Oh my gosh.
Understanding
That
the state of
comment.
things, to be able to make calls, right? So I mean, my people laugh here because at the office, they lock me up in this office because I'm always on calls nonstop from like 8 a.m. to, like, I think the first time I get up during the day, my desk is at 2 p.m.
Boom.
And then, oh, well, I need to eat something, and then keep going, right? And so
I heard it,
that's the part
Jim.
that's difficult. The
I
intensity
heard
is
it.
really up there, right? Really, really up there. But at the same time, it's so,
Who else heard
I
it?
feel like all these things really move the party
Yeah.
forward, and so it's
I heard
motivating.
it.
But it is hard on the day to day for sure.
All right. Well, Benoit, thank you for staying much longer than
all good.
we
It's all good.
agreed.
I expected that.
I try to do the short shows every once in a while, but then I always pair the idea of the short show with the people who talk a lot, and it's just think I know better.
Well, yeah,
but
it's cool.
I appreciate you sticking around. I'm going to let you go, folks. Thank you for watching. This has been Star Citizen Live. What did we call it? Tech Talk with Benoit Beausejour.
Oh my God, so good. Approved.
Do you want to know what my orange case is? Do you remember Fisher Price Constructs?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shit.
Got my whole collection.
Oh, is it
That's
the OG?
old,
Yeah, it's the OG.
man. Wow.
I'm an engineer now too.
Got the constructs in it.
Yeah, I'm an engineer now too.
That means I manage you.
If you haven't,
Stick to your
check
day
out
job,
Legendary's,
dude.
Inside Star Citizen on creatures and characters. It's a show. Be sure you watch.
I expected that.
I try to do the short shows every once in a while, but
Hang on, I'm gonna
then I
rewind to
always
see
pair
what
the
it
idea of the
is.
Short show with the people who talk a lot, and it's just think I know better.
Well, yeah,
but
it's cool.
I appreciate you sticking around. I'm going to let you go, folks. Thank you for watching. This has been Star Citizen Live. What did we call it? Tech Talk with Benoit Beausejour.
Oh my God, so good. Approved.
Do you want to know what my orange case is? Do you remember? Do you remember Fisher Price Constructs?
Oh
Fisher
my God,
Price
really?
Constructs.
Shit.
Got my whole collection.
Oh, is it the OG one too?
Yeah, it's the OG.
You only
I'm an
Wow.
engineer now too.
got the constructs in.
Fisher Price Constructs. Jeez. Not that it's interesting for a baby's toy, but those are expensive. Chat, those are expensive. Nerd. Yeah, well, expensive for nerd shit. I'll admit that. That right there is some expensive crap. Look it up. I'm pretty sure that's not cheap. Guaranteed, chat. Not cheap. Bet you anything it's not cheap stuff. Anyways, keep playing.
In it.
Yeah, I'm an engineer now too. Well, builds.
That means I manage you.
If you haven't checked out yesterday's Inside Star Citizen on creatures and characters, it's a show. Be sure you watch it. And then come back here next week. Next week on ISC, we finally pull the curtain fully back on the 2 new Zeuses that are now coming in a 324X patch. It's X because we don't know if it's going to be 0.1 or 0.2 or whatnot. It's and the new MFD work that's coming alongside it. The new MFDs are super
Son
cool.
of a
They're
gun, we're getting the new
super
MFDs.
cool. Check it
Chat.
out. They're super cool. They're super cool. For that's
The
been a
new
while. I'm Jared.
MFDs.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for just letting me do what I do. We really thought yesterday's ISC might be the last one they let us publish.
Why?
Keep your eye on the Roberts.
It was funny.
And Spectrum for news about the Tech Preview channel. That if that hasn't started yet, it'll start when they're ready for it. And it's really important for the project and for everybody involved that we get as many people in there to stress this stuff as possible. So your participation is tremendously valued and appreciated if you can make the time to jump in there. And help us out.
Moo. I
So
say
thanks a lot.
moo.
I'm Jared. That was Ben Watt. Who did that part. That's Dave and Pete over there. You
Sorry.
never see them. Say hi, guys. Okay. See you next week, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Mew. I say mew. Sorry. Oh, man. It's blanket cold up here. Okay. Now. Hang on just a sec, chat. Oh crap. Couple of things to share with everybody else. Jim and Brian are new to this conversation, I'm sure. Probably. Hold on. The first thing I'm going to show you guys is this. So for people who don't think things eventually trickle into game, what do you call this? Have a look. What? Hey, Brian and Jim, what is this? You know what this is, guys, right? Something that was a rumor and won't make it into the game, but yeah, it's going to be on the back burner. Okay, evidence 1. This is at 16 seconds in the 324 trailer. Oh, those are coming too. You know they are, Jim. when they fully remove armistice zones, it's going to happen because, right? Well, that's one, but I got one better.
So, where do you want it?
Surprised they haven't posted this right here. Look here. This is it says coming soon right here. This was posted yesterday.
So, where do you want it?
Coming soon. Honestly, I'm wondering how much. I wonder how much it'll be. Brian, remember multiple companies make these things, bro. I will be honest. I have first. Hey, Brian. They're more than likely going to make multiple variations, like ships. Or, company derivatives. I don't know. I guess the term would be frames. Luna Mario, would it be more conventional to refer to them like Iron-Blooded Orphans Gundam frames? Whereas the inner frame is the same, but they have different uses and weaponry and characteristics. They're different from standard mobile suits where they have different sizes, shapes, language, but they have a standardized inner frame like IBO. But what I'm saying, Brian, is this is one of them. And that's what I'm curious about, Brian. Will we get both? Both the construction mech and this guy. I hope we get both. Hey, Black Osprey, how are we doing? I'm hoping we get both units. Because we'll see. I mean, it's like anything else, I kind of believe there'll be multiple variations of these. At least I hope so. Yeah. I mean, what purpose does it suit again? Yeah. Yeah. By the way, if you haven't been to the website in a while, they have changed the screen for the website. The entire website looks weird. Well, it doesn't look weird, it just looks different. This is the new screen. The new splash and everything. The website got updated too yesterday. Those would be accurate guesses, Luna Maria, as well as like equipment packs, to upgrade. Aquatic, environmental, Some planets in Star Citizen are fully underwater. You might not be able to go there with a ship, but a suit. You might be able to dive down to the bottom of an ocean, right? To recover a black box or something. I remember that rumor, Jim, from somewhere. I don't know where. By the way, I asked this about ice mining because we need more commodities. Yeah, it's a given. I would say a suit, because the trolley might do this number. Yeah. The cargo trolley might go wonky on you. I don't know. Yeah, that is funny. Sorry, they changed the pledge store so much. Wow. By the way, this month is goofy. I don't even want it. The Furies, yuck. I like those ships, but I don't really need it. What I do want is this. Remember, guys, I have an Idris. Thinking about getting the aftermarket kit upgrade. Sooner or later. Oh. They were running low. Yeah, the Hopian. For me, I was about to call it quits about 2 weeks ago. I didn't tell any of you guys that. But yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it will, Dizzy. That's exactly right. Hopefully, yeah. Mew. I say mew. Those that cow ISC was funny. Yeah, it does. I mean, the Fury's a good ship, but you need a mama bird to carry it somewhere. Yeah. I do, but I also like other games. But you're right, I do. I mean, hold on. What am I looking for? Hold on. The Caterpillar? Yeah. Missed opportunity. I still think there's going to be another ship. Hey, Jim, I still think there's going to be another ship between the Ironclad and the Kraken. There's still a huge scale size. There could easily be a smaller carrier. You know, no base for dragonflies, smaller, faster, quicker to deploy. I certainly understand, Brian. Sometimes that's a good idea. Why to take a break for a bit? What am I looking for? I was looking for something. Earn it. I forgot what I was going to look up. Well, I might be taking a month-ish break, probably for Castlevania reasons. Hey, I love Halloween. It's my birthday month, October 6th. In 1 month will be my birthday. I'm considering doing a long live stream of one of my favorite Castlevania games. It just got released in a collection, days ago, the Dominus collection. And I don't know anybody who doesn't like Halloween and scary and creepy games. You know? Oh, that's right. When's Pirate Week, Brian and Jim? Do you guys remember? Pirate Week. You know, the silver paints, silver and red. We're supposed to get some new ships this year. One of them being the Terrapin is a big rumor, if it is to be believed. This month, yeah. Hmm. Probably the 20th, which it sounds pretty fair. Yeah, I think you might be right. We'll see. Like you said, this is true. The Clipper. A Clipper. Yeah, you're right. Oh, serious. Right. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I'm considering it destroy at the moment. Today was kind of a provided, wait. Hold on just a sec. I was going to, but right now I'm a little worried about my air conditioner going kaput. My I woke up this morning to an 80-degree house and getting hotter. Hey, fair enough. I get it. I get it. I was looking actually at a store screen to buy said collection, just for tooling around in it for a bit. Something other than Star Citizen for a bit. But I might save that for another time. No worries. Mm. All right. You know what? I'm gonna rewatch the cow episode from yesterday. That was kind of funny. Um. Brian and Jim, did you see this?
I'm your host, Jared Huckett.
No worries.
Huckabee. On the show this week, cows.
That's good.
Space cows. An entire episode dedicated to cows. How are they going to do that? We have no idea, but I bet it won't be well. Enjoy. So, what is the space cow?
Like, hey Jared, can you give us 15 minutes on a cow? It's like, it's always Quasi or Quasi, and everyone always says it differently because the Montreal guys are the character people, so they're always like, you know, Quasi, and we're like Quasi. So the Quasi Guaza is
Right.
Why do creatures matter? What do they add to our video game?
well, this is a cow and it moves, so it's incredibly exciting. Creatures in general add believability to the world and the experience.
By the way,
And
just in
general,
case
when
you're
you're
wondering,
flying or
don't
ship or
shoot
driving
these
around,
things.
seeing
They will
fauna
charge.
running around and just being in the world. It's like, oh, cool, I'm actually like, you know, on a planet, I'm in an environment.
Wing. I've seen something on that.
They present lots
And
of
I agree with you,
opportunities for
Brian.
unique
I'm hoping
gameplay
for the
situations
combat
and
suits
allow
they already
you to
built with
see
the lifter.
landscapes
We might
perhaps
get
in a new
both.
way.
You know,
I
from
think players
one
are already
manufacturer,
really enjoying the
another, or
creatures that we've got in
something.
the game.
You know.
The actual release was fine, but when we did the initial release into like PTU, there were problems.
Yay,
with
I
the
received
PCP
100
syncing and things like
messages
that, but
today.
we've been working on fixing that up and, you know, making sure that the creatures are.
Yeah,
receptive
I don't
and
think so,
engaging,
buddy.
really.
The biggest challenge in programming creatures is bringing them to life.
I'll
making
believe it when I
sure that
see it.
All the incredible animations that we've got.
I believe
are
it when I
placed in the
see
right
it,
way,
chat.
That they're working together as this a whole creature that's not just an individual set of animations, but something that's living and breathing. So the Quasi-Grazer is quite a simple creature. We kind of colloquially call it the space cow. We like to put space in front of every other creature. We've had the space dog and the space bird, and now we've got the space cow. It's got quite simple behaviors. They're very gentle creatures.
Maybe.
We look at how
Now all we
cows
need
look,
is a
well, not
space
how they look, but
horse
how they act, and, you
to
know,
do
they're
space
moving
ranching.
and, you know, they're eating grass, they're roaming around in herds, and, well, except the main difference is that they have eggs, which is pretty gross.
Talk to me about space mooing. What's space mooing?
He wants me to do the noise, and I'm going to refrain. I'll let one of the audio people handle that. But what we always give direction to the audio team is just like, we'll be like moo, and then parenthesis like alien or space, just so they don't end up like, you know, just giving us a regular moo. Because, you know, cows actually have regional accents. So if you listen to a cow moo in the south of England or the north of England, they sound very different. So, yeah, moo. You're right, love, moo. What does the
Yeah,
Stanton
especially
cow
that
moo
question.
sound like versus, you know, like a
Especially
Manchester
that
cow moo?
question. Remember, Luke Skywalker works for them.
we are.
They will never allow that
There are
to
5
happen to
different
Luke
types
again.
of Quasi-Grazers
Well,
in
they
Fishing
might,
Cove, and you'll see them
if he
scattered in
does a
various
bad
biomes.
job.
The desert variant of the Quasi-Grazer is the one you're all familiar with, that you've seen in like the Star Engine trailer, and it's gonna be on
Joking, chat.
Hurston.
I am very
There's
much
enough
joking.
fur It's made for the desert, so it's more like a thick skin. It's similar to a cow, but it doesn't have horns.
It has a typical amount of eggs for a quasi-grazer.
What is a typical amount of eggs?
It is randomized, but there is like a typical medium that we go with. It's consistently inconsistent.
So some cows will have more eggs than others?
Yes,
They have eggs.
because you
I think
of,
they're
Spanish
like the
cows, right? They tend to be a lot
platypus.
skinnier than like North American cows because they like eat a lot more. They have access to like a lot more water. They've got a lot more food versus like hot areas.
Are they
this is a good use of
marsupials
your time?
or?
I think
I think
am
they're
sick of looking at videos of
marsupial.
cows
I
and
think
seeing
these
them
are
trying to mate us and
marsupial
be like, "No, the
cows,
tail needs
not
to move like this."
you know, like the platypus.
The next
Is that a
find
good
is
guess?
The boreal forest, which is quite nice as they are on Microtech. You'll
That
see
looks
that
more
it
like a
has
bison.
hair around its neck and its faceplate is more pronounced. So they will be spawning near copions and near the Mareks as well. And if they ever end up crossing paths, there will be arguments between them. I don't think that the copions will loot the cow eggs, but it just means there's a nice systemic gameplay that you can come across where a copion has hunted a cow in this case. The grasslands version
Right.
of Quasi-Grazer, you'll see that they have darker fur and, in general, a more darker shade on their skin as well.
The grassland quasi-grazer looks more like a buffalo with the way its fur is made. Like the desert quasi-grazer, it also has eggs that you can loot.
They live in the
By the way, that in the background was the TARDIS again.
savanna area of Microtech. And it will be joined by a jungle variant, which will be sharing the savanna for the time
Eat
being.
them, maybe?
And lastly, the one I'm most excited about is the Arctic variant. You will find the tundra space cow in the tundra, the more cold areas.
Okay,
of
this
Microtech.
one's more like cold weather.
The Arctic space cow we did was one animal that we actually had to do fully covered in fur, which is quite a challenge. I remember Chris saying we want to see hordes of them passing by, so he's talking about 20 or 30 or even hundreds of them passing by. So it would have to be really optimized, and at the same time would have to hit the quality bar. We managed to create a very interesting, fluffy creature that you're going to be able to enjoy very soon.
It's fully covered in
Awesome.
hair, and it's using similar tech to what we have on the human beings. You imagine like winds and when it moves and things like that, its fur is basically fully reactive to those elements. So it makes the animations come a lot more alive, and it really shows how
Cosmic.
having these simulated elements on the
Remind me who
creature
that
using our
is.
hair tech is just gorgeous.
We're also very excited to see how this opens up a lot of possibilities and opportunities for the creatures in the future, as this was a breakthrough for us to be able to cover such a large creature with so much fur.
The ones with fur look really super cute.
Oh,
I think we want some tongue physics in there as well.
no!
Because normal cows
Oh,
are
no.
quite
No,
looking-
no, no.
Okay, the views and opinions of Andrew Davies do not represent those of Cloud Imperium Games, Robert Space Industries, or its subsidiaries. I'm having to say this too much lately.
Interestingly, it is the only variant without eggs, and instead you'll be able to loot this creature's tongue.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, go back. Go back.
Andrew talked about the tongue. He isn't having to say this
Go back.
too much.
I love his reaction. What?
Interestingly, it is the only variant without eggs, and instead you'll be able to loot this creature's tongue.
What?
What?
Yeah, the tongue.
Andrew
That
talked about the
reaction
tongue.
from
He
Jared.
wanted to add tongue physics.
Yeah, no, probably not. It'd be a bit weird. What noise does a tongue detaching make anyway? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, you'll make that sound, but not the space move?
I'm not making an animal noise.
Beef
It's not the weekend
tongue.
yet.
Beef tongue. You are right, Jim. Beef
One
tongue.
of the really cool features we've got is that the creatures respond to the day-night cycle. During the nighttime, they're more likely to be sleeping.
You are
whereas during the
right,
day, they're
beef
more
tongue.
likely to be grazing.
As much as I hate to admit
It's a
it,
very
yeah.
non-lethal kind of set dressing for planets type of animal.
The real trouble comes if you disturb these gentle creatures by attacking them or as there's a hostile nearby.
If you are mean to the cows in any capacity, what they will do is the majority of them will run away. However, one will come and knock you over.
Hard.
And it will only do a small amount of damage, but I would like to track the telemetry on how many people die to them, which would be interesting.
I want bison. Pong.
They can be quite deadly,
Ooh.
as cows are in
Rewind.
real life. 4 or 5
Rewind.
deaths.
That was actually a nice reaction, chat.
Lie to
Look
them,
at
which
this.
would be
What's this?
interesting.
What's again? Bonk.
They can be quite deadly, as cows are.
Danger cattle confirmed, chat. Danger cattle from Yellowstone. Except this isn't Yellowstone, it's Earth.
Are in real life. 4 or 5 deaths in the UK every year by cows. So yeah, it's quite a dangerous creature if you raise its anger.
Do you ever consider making them mourn the death of another?
That's really depressing. One of my team is very, very keen to get petting of quasigrazers in there, but I think that's a whole other feature that I'll have to wait for another day.
Let us pet the cow. What happens if you are aggressive with the cow?
If you are aggressive to the cow, one cow will end up charging you and knocking you over.
What the hell?
This
Rewind.
episode is a show. Back to you.
Grazers in there, but I think that's a whole other feature.
I gotta
I'll
see
have to
that
wait for another
again.
day.
Bonk.
What happens if you are aggressive with the cow?
If you are aggressive to the cow, one cow will end up charging you and knocking you over.
That needs to be a gift, chat.
This episode is a show. Back to you.
Ace Ventura reference. Can't believe they got away with doing that. Seriously. That was funny.
So for the next release, we're getting some new features for the character customizer that I think you're really gonna like. We're starting with some new hairstyles.
Let's start with the
Okay,
mullet.
that's.
We're gonna have a new mullet. This mullet was
Hey,
designed to
it's
be
Alan
really
Jackson.
grungy and disheveled. Great to fit with the new pyro stuff. There's also a lovely twin braid that is just parted in the middle. It's an hairstyle that you can actually use to still be fashionable and practical because it's all tied up. Then we also have another style, which is a big curly hair. Very
Frizz.
volumetric feel to it.
Yeah, me
It's quite
too.
amazing. It's gonna be amazing to make it look with the hats and the masks and all that, and the way it will fit. I'm pretty sure this is gonna cause a great visual impact.
The Copian tattoos
Additionally,
all
for the
over
next release
is
we're
for
getting
me.
Tattoos.
Skull one, there's a skull one.
Finally, you're gonna be able to give yourself that
Rewind, let
specific
me
styling
see.
that you're not gonna match anyone else in the
Ooh.
verse. The tattoo system is
Ooh.
really great. You can select from
Yeah,
a
I could
plethora
deal
of
with that,
tattoos,
yeah.
and you can adjust the colors so you get them just as you like them. And you can also set the age on them to make them look like you've had them for a long time.
For the
Even
tattoos,
wear-
there's
wear
actually
them-
A bunch of different style. We have some organic tattoos. We have the tattoos of flowers. We have one that's more old school American style.
Like Pico, always a winner, right?
There's a
little-
Pico tattoo?
Oh, there's a Pico tattoo. He's gonna be surfing down everyone's necks. Get ready for Pico
Wait,
neck
there's a
tattoo.
Pico neck tattoo?
Oh yeah, that's the stuff.
That's some Cody Rhodes right there. Big
I don't
Cody
even-
Rhodes reference. Hey, Halcyon. What up, man?
know what that is, but yes.
We have used a bunch of teams that are part of the game, like the creatures.
Finley
and
tattoo.
The ships.
That's a good
also.
question.
We
Where's
have
my
a tattoo
Finley?
for the javelin, which we're showing different side of the ship. We have a tattoo for the Copian, which is more the old school style. We have the Maroc, which has kind of a synthwave influence. We have one that's a full face skull.
Dude! Dig that. Yeah, hey, Halcyon. Dude, guys, check this out. Wow. Okay. If I had a pirate account, if I had one, right there.
Also, I think this one the player is gonna like. Still limited, but
Dude, oh, he looks like an enforcer too. Look at that with that armor and that suit.
as
Yeah.
time goes on, we plan to release more and more of these.
People should care about the tattoos because they let you personalize yourself and express yourself in a way that you couldn't with the previous features of the character customizer. It's always been about expressing yourself. That's the whole deal about it. But now this will allow you to get something printed on your face that immediately communicates something to other players about what you are about.
What does a face tattoo communicate about you to other people?
Lots of things. I've seen some stuff. In addition to the tattoos, we're also looking into piercings right now. We have 5 different areas that you can apply them to. We have ears, 1 and 2. We have eyebrows, 1 and 2, and the lower lip.
And nose.
We're also pursuing different piercing styles. So the simple one from an implementation perspective is studs. So we have a range of different stud piercings that you can apply. Rings
So you
are a
can
bit
go
more
with the
complicated
biker
because
look.
As you shape
Full-on
the face, the
biker
rings
look.
will have to deform as well as the face. So that might be a little bit longer. And last but not least, we're bringing a new stubble feature to the character customizer. Obviously, we have a huge selection of facial hair already, but now
This is
you can change them
yeah.
all to have
This is
the stubble
yesterday's
built in.
ISC.
Stubble that you can
SCL
actually
was
use with
today.
any other beard. So you
Halcyon.
can combine it with a longer beard or a mustache or something. Just to
Yeah,
give
the
you that
cow
different look.
one, Halcyon. This was yesterday, but it was good.
We also have 2 new beards. One that is longer groomed
Yeah, no worries.
and one that is a bit shorter. It was important to add stubble just to give you a more realistic look for people that want to look like more like a fighter and less like a prince. So if you're looking for this pyro look or this look of you're a miner, you're a worker, you're something, then this is just going to give you the edge on your look.
So you just tick the box, stubble, and now you can add that to your sweet Abraham Lincoln beard that you love so much. So that's all of the new features for the character customizer for the next release. Sorry if we couldn't show you everything today, but we're working hard on it. I hope you are as excited as we are for these new features, and I hope you also feel that this is going to allow you to further show your own persona in the verse.
So, what did we learn this week? Well,
Oh no.
Oh my, I like to moo so much. Moo moo.
Yeah, we're just out in the cold here, just doing cow stuff out in the cold.
Aye, we always moo like that and eat loads of grass, aye.
oh, it's so fucking cold!
Moo.
Skål for mjölk. Moo.
Moo. I like the moo.
Jared m'a fait dire ces lignes, donc je dois dire le mot. Meu, sacre meu.
Yeah, I saw that, Jim. That was a funny episode, chat. Oh, I'm sure they'll have a tattoo customizer, Brian, at some point. They'll have to, even for memes. That would be a genuinely golden one. Yes, indeed. Now. Barber shops and tattoo shops. Yes, we do. We definitely do, Jim, because they're fun and awesome. That's a good point. If we die and are cloned, do we get our stuff back? Or do we have to build a reputation to get it back? Right? Right? Yeah. Does anyone know if there's been an update today? Like, hold on. Wow, I hit the wrong button for some reason. Hold on, chat. There's one baking in the hotfix for Vulcan. Really? What were you talking about, Halcyon? Was it mentioned in the Tech Talk one? Yeah. Is something Jared says. Okay, I'm going to rewatch it then. Good idea. At the very end, right? So, very end of SCL. They explained why that doesn't happen, Jim, but I think it's kind of a, you know what I mean, response. Hear me? Kind of one of those, kind of responses. Oh, what were you gonna expect next week? Right, gotcha. Hang on, chat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Inside Star Citizen. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. On the show this week,
Sorry, I was trying to make sure nobody was calling on the phone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live.
The intensity is really
Alongside it, the new MFTs are super
going, right? And so I want, and for this, for all of our tech to come together and then
There we go.
make this game the best thing that it can be by them. So it's for me, it's like I'm just ecstatic about it.
You want to be green.
Nothing
Green.
positive is such a bullshit executive answer.
No, hang on.
There's-
Don't say that. What's been difficult is if you want the downside.
It really
has been
is
really,
destroy. Let's
catching up
be
to speed
real.
to all the disciplines, right?
You're,
Understanding.
Hang on, I'm gonna go with what Destroy just said. Interesting week for Star Citizen, in my opinion. Yeah, it's been an interesting few. And remember, chat, they showcased Habitat stuff a few weeks ago. Something else last week in a little snippet. The Titan suit bit this week. The Squadron 42 full of crap CitizenCon package. This has been a weird month. And remember, we're still 40 days or so from CitizenCon, chat. Right now, it's wild card situation. Anything could happen. Anything. I say, you know what? Even if you're not playing the game, keep your ear to the ground and listen to what's coming down the road. Who knows what might happen next? There's been some really unusual things pop up. Wouldn't you guys agree? Really unusual in a time period, you know, in this era between the feast and the famine of Star Citizen. What I'm talking about with the famine is the lead up to CitizenCon. There's been a fair bit of stuff. Exactly, Destroy. Exactly. RSI website change. We are sure big Squadron 42 news. I agree with that. 100%. It's not been as bad this year either. Good point, Halcyon and Destroy. Holy cow, who keeps calling my house? Hang on, chat. I'm going to have to mute again.
State of things to be able to make calls, right? So I mean, my people laugh here because at the office, you know, they lock me up in this office because I'm always on calls nonstop from like 8 a.m. to like I think the first time I get up during the day from my desk is at 2 p.m. and then I need to eat something and then you know keep going, right? And so that's the part that's difficult. The intensity is really up there, right? Really up there. But at the same time, it's so. I feel like all these things really move the project forward, and so it's motivating. But it is hard on the day to day for sure.
All right. Well, Benoit, thank you for staying much longer than we agreed.
I expected that.
I try to do the short shows every once in a while, but then I always pair the idea of the short show with the people who talk a lot, and it's just think I know better.
Well, yeah,
but I appreciate you sticking around. I'm going to let you go, folks. Thank you for watching. This has been Star Citizen Live. What did we call it? Tech Talk with Benoit Beauséjour.
Oh my God, so good. Approved.
Do you want to know what my orange case is? Do you remember? Do you remember Fisher Price Constructs?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Got my whole collection.
Oh, is it the OG one too?
Yeah, it's the OG. I'm an engineer now too.
Got the constructs in it.
Yeah, I'm an engineer now too.
That means I manage you.
Don't quit your day job.
Check out
Benoit.
Inside Star Citizen on creatures and characters. It's a show. Be sure you watch it.
Brain.
And come back here next week. Next week on ISC, we finally pull the curtain fully back on the 2 new Zeuses that are now coming in a 3.4 X patch. It's X because we don't know if it's going to be 0.1 or 0.2 or whatnot. It's and the new MFD work that's coming alongside it. The new MFDs are super cool. And if you're like, how can new MFD be super cool? Check it out. They're super cool. They're super cool. For that's Benoit. I'm Jared. Thanks for watching. Thanks for
I saw it.
letting me do what I do.
I saw the.
I really thought
I think it's going to be on the.
Might be the last one they let us publish. Keep your eye on
New type.
New
type.
And Spectrum for news about the Tech Preview channel.
He says new type, chat.
It'll start when they're ready for it.
Shark
and it's
came
really
to laugh
important
at
for
you,
the project
Brian,
for everybody
and then
involved that we
cry
get
at
as
the
many
same
people in
time.
there, to stress this stuff as possible. So your participation is tremendously valued and appreciated if you can make the time to jump in there and help us out. So thanks a lot. I'm Jared. That was Benoit. I already did that part. That's Dave and Pete over there. You never see them. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
See you next week, everybody. Take care. Bye.
So the Zeus, huh? Zeus's, huh? Okay. If we get the Zeus's next week, I will eat crow. Oh. No, I won't eat crow. But I will say this. I will be upgrading my C1. I will say hasta luego to it, to a clipper. Brian will be very happy for me. I love my C1, but let's compare, shall we? Let me see. Oh, shoot. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So it's loner is the C1. So it had, okay, compared to the standard Spirit, I wonder if it's big enough for vehicles. Do we know? Do we know if the back end is big enough for vehicles? Oh, it should be. With that massive of a cargo hold, it should be big enough for at least a Nova or something. Now, not a Nova, but probably a... I'm going to say the other tank. You know, the other one. The Nursa Storm something, you know? I hope a Nursa can fit at least, yeah. And even the Nursa would only take up half the cargo, right? Only half. You park it right here. The rest of this mag plate you can probably use for cargo, right? Exactly, Halcyon. Or for gathering up stuff for your salvage crew. That way they don't have to trek all the way back to station with a vulture. You and your vulture team can just keep going until you're full. You know? The vulture team would just keep producing boxes one after the other and fill up the back end. Even a reclaimer would be able to be offloaded by one of these. No worries, Jim, you're good. I stand by this. This is going to be the perfect middle ground. We do need a medium salvage ship. Thank you, Jim. Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. We are in dire need of a medium salvager. Isn't he right, chat? A medium salvager that can produce size 8 boxes. You know, minimum. Size 8 boxes. Not 1s or 2s, but size 8. I would love the Raptor. Cleaning the streets of Microtech or whatever. Huh. We so need the Raptor. Yes, we do. So this guy holds 128. Its entry is both a ladder and a cargo ramp. You know, I would be okay, chat, if the MSR had a... If the MSR had a ladder somewhere underneath it, you know, that you could get in instead of just the damn cargo bay. Ugh. All ships should, or, well, it depends on how they are. I don't think the Arrow qualifies because it's a fighter. Ships with no interior. Honestly, the only two spirits I'm keeping now are the A1 and the E1, excluding fighters. Those are the only two that I'm keeping. The E1 and the A1. I'm going to reduce my fleet by 1 and upgrade to the CL. If I can. How much is the C1 compared to the CL? Well, no, I don't like bombers, but I do group play with raids and stuff. So on occasion I will. I like quicker bombers. CL's 150, right. It's way over here. The mic's here. Swear I moved it too. Hold on. Yeah, I do because my room's cramped, unfortunately. Not trying to get terse, but I don't have a lot of space in my room, unfortunately. All right, let's see. Anyways, let's see. So the CL is 150. How much is the C1? The C1, the Spirit C1. Well, looks like I'm going to be able to do a straight upgrade, chat. Look at this. It's 125. So, by that reckoning, let's see. Let's see if we can actually upgrade to it. So it's 150, like the cost of the Freelancer Max. Right about here. If it goes up a little bit, it'll probably be the price of the Mark II. I'd say $50 to upgrade, chat. What do you think? C1 to CL? Shouldn't be terribly much on release. What do you think, Brian? CL 150, 175, 165 for release. What do you think? Okay. Yeah. More than likely, you're probably right. Probably. Ugh. Hmm. Hmm. We'll see. I mean, green space. I haven't seen it too much in some places I do. But yeah, I think they need to dial it back a little bit. Somewhat, you know. They could definitely dial it back a tiny bit. Just my 2 cents. It doesn't look overly green. The contested zones of Pyro, I'm hoping some, like, hard to find. Well, okay. Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. The contested zones, well, that's a good one. I can see several things for the contested zones. Like, hanger flare would be cool, like rare flare, or hey, how about rare weapons and armor that have only come out once or twice? Like, say you actually beat the whole thing and your reward for your whole team is a set of Calva helmets. Do you know how much those are, chat? Calva helmets, $800. That may be why they're not being sold in store. They're saving it for things like this, gated behind reputation, gated behind, doing things. And also the hanger flare that's really rare. I've said it for a while that when they started developing that stuff, that's going to change some things drastically. I'm hoping on the hanger flare we get like usable items, like double dog maker. $800, Luna Maria, for a, what is it? Concept Mantis with freaking Sabine flight suit, and I'm trying to remember the Calva helmet. Let me show you. Oh, I stand corrected, chat. If you want to go, RSI Mantis, look at this. This is the sad thing of the gray market. Who has $1,500 to burn, chat? Look at this. Okay. The helmet in question looks like this. That is the Calva helmet. A helmet I've wanted in game for a long time. I've wanted one of these locked to my account. That way I never lose it. No, I'm not kidding, Brian. That's the gray market for you. They only sold this during the concept sale. It's absolutely, yeah, I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's why I'm hoping and praying to God CIG does a little bit of, fixing the gray market issue. Because the gray market right now sucks. You have to spend X amount of money just to buy stuff like that. It's so dumb. $1,500, chat. You know what that is? That's a Kraken. That is a Kraken. Well, I'm just saying. Yeah, there are better things to spend it. Gold tickets on eBay are also funny. Those people are funny. That too. That too, though, Jim. It's kind of ridiculous. Amazing how much people spend on money. Sell crap. It is amazing how much people sell. I know. I know. Hey, I don't buy this garbage. It's too expensive. I don't have the money. I do not have the money for that. Huh.
So the next 2 days, all the free time I have should be.
Oh, shoot. Oops. Sorry, chat. You're nearly done? Awesome. That's good, Luna. Game progress is always great. Good, Luna. Game progress. I am having issues here for some reason. I gotta eat lunch, chat. It is 2:00 here, and honestly, I didn't expect to be on here this late today. But I am having fun. Nose. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raid somebody on Twitch probably here in about 7 minutes. Anything else you guys want me to ask me? Or just spitball or anything? All right. Jim and who was I going to talk to? Jim and Brian. Hey, well, no, actually, this question was for Destroy. I hope you're right on the Squadron 42 thing, Destroy. We'll see, though. I mean, we will see. With that being said, chat, I'm going to wish you a great one. I'm going to send whoever's on Twitch to somebody. I don't know who's streaming right now. Let's see. Let's see. I am going to go to someone smaller. Nova Forge. On Twitch. So I'm going to send you guys off. Adieu. See you later. I'll see you guys probably tomorrow.